all had deepest regard for him. He nourished us. He took the ownership of ensuring that each and every person in the unit of Mr. Bimal Roy gets some work. He even helped Bimal Roy's personal secretary, Mukul Dutt, to write songs for Bengali films. Go out there and tell Jade, you'll survive. No matter what. She goes to school. And since you are the boss, make time and write her in the television. It's your job. Hello everyone. As you can see, today I am on the bank of River Ganga. After approximate 6-7 months of partial confinement, partial mobility, full confinement. Finally, it's great to be here. Fantastic place. Just removed my mask for this video. Lonely, deserted beach. And while you are in such a nice, beautiful place in the lap of nature, what do you do when you don't have enough clear Wi-Fi and all the things that you are accustomed to? You go back to your old days of relaxing. And what are the old days for me? For me, it's listening to some old Indian film music. And that's what I was doing last evening. And I got reminded of one of the amazingly great poet, lyricist and director of Indian film industry, Gulzar Sahib. And I'm using this word Sahib very carefully and out of sheer respect for Mr. Gulzar. So I got reminded of an incident in the life of Gulzar, which he shares in one of the interviews. And this incident is extremely important for us these days because it talks about the responsibility of a leader, a manager, or any person who's connected to a lot of other people in testing times. And he shares this incident from his life when he started off his career in Mumbai. Some of us may know that he was working with Bimal Roy via productions, and those were great times. They made great movies. And then came a time when Bimal Roy wasn't keeping well. Then he became extremely ill, and then came a time when Mr. Roy passed away. It was a great setback to Gulzar, and Gulzar Saab refers to this incident. I'll read out to you. He says, "It was like losing my father all over again." And he also says one more thing which I would like to share. He said, "We all had deepest regard for him. He nourished us." Now, this word I usually don't hear from a lot of managers or people working in corporates about their own leaders or managers. Nourish. It's an important word for the leaders. Now comes the important part in this particular incident. Now, what happened was, after the demise of Bimal Roy, people knew that the unit of Bimal Roy would not be in a position to be kept intact. And in this particular incident, there's this gentleman called Hemant Kumar, the famous singer and music director. He was the one who took ownership. And what was the ownership? He took the ownership of ensuring that each and every person in the unit of Mr. Bimal Roy gets some work. Now, he was of course connected to Bimal Roy and he knew the whole crew members, but it's amazingly great to know this gesture. And I'll read it out to you what Gulzar Saab says. He says that it was amazing. He knew Bimal Roy's unit was bound to scatter, and he found work for everyone. It was a huge gesture. He even helped Bimal Roy's personal secretary, Mukul Dutt, to write songs for Bengali films. He introduced Gulzar to Asit Sen and Rishikesh Mukherjee, and persuaded Asit Sen to give work to Gulzar. So when, as a manager or a leader or somebody in the organization who's connected to the larger mass, you know that because of the situation, there is something that has happened to people who either work for you or who are connected to you, and they need your help. The organization is helping in some way or the other, but perhaps that's not enough. I think it's a great incident that Gulzar Saab has narrated. how Hemant Kumar helped the whole unit of Bimal Roy to find work after Bimal Roy passed away. So that's the first incident. I'll talk about another incident, and this is about another gentleman, somewhat in the same light. So let's move on with the video. So now the second incident and the second individual. That's Bill Campbell, ex-football coach. He was a football player, former college football player, coach, and ex-CEO of Intuit. Those of you who are interested in knowing a little more about Bill Campbell, you can read a book called $1 Trillion Coach. He was referred to as a $1 Trillion Coach, and rightfully so. This book is written by Eric Schmidt, Jonathan Rosenberg, and Larry Page. I think so. Yes. And I think even if I'm not correct about the name of all the authors, I definitely know it's Eric Schmidt and Jonathan Rosenberg who are the authors, and there's one more. Why I'm talking about Bill? Because as I told you, that Bill has been instrumental in mentoring amazingly great leaders who have created institutions, who built institutions. Let me name a few for you: Steve Jobs, Larry Page, Eric Schmidt, Sundar Pichai, and many more. And therefore, when you read this book, you'll realize that how pro Bill was not only about creating businesses, about entrepreneur, but about the whole idea of people leadership. And I think so. The reason being that he started his career as a former college football player, so that part always remained with him, and the other things got added on. So now coming to the incident that I typically wanted to talk about in continuation. So as I told you that he was coaching and mentoring a lot of senior leaders. Jonathan Rosenberg, the ex-senior vice president products, who's now an advisor to Alphabet, was one of them. And in one of these interactions, I think Bill was waiting outside of his office, and there was a meeting. And as usual, Bill was chatting with the assistants. There was one assistant called Chade, and he got talking to Chade. And Chade said that she was interested in doing law, clearing LSAT, and she was also worried about at this point in time if she would talk to the boss that she wants to move out, what would happen, how would the boss feel, so on and so forth. Bill listened to her, and after that went inside. The conversation started with Jonathan, and this is what he had to tell to Jonathan. I'll read out to you. He checked with Jonathan about the aspirations of Chade, and to that Jonathan said that, well, I'm not aware. And his response was, you should get to know your people better. And then he told Jonathan, go out there and tell Chade you'll survive, no matter what. She goes to school, and since you are her boss, make time and write her a recommendation. It's your job. Of course, Chade went ahead, and I think she practices law in Boston. Now, why these two incidents? I talked about responsibility towards your people, and this responsibility is about leaders, managers who are leading individuals and big teams. I deal with corporate, so I'm saying more in terms of corporate, but I think it's applicable across different fields where leadership is applicable. Responsibility towards people, and in these two cases and cases similar to these, where does it come from? I think it comes from a fundamentally deep value called care, and that value care is not only at a feeling level, that value care is at a very deep level, which also ensures that people who care for others, they take action. So in the case of Hemant Kumar, it was of course ensuring that everybody in Bimal Roy's unit gets to work. In case of Bill, it was reminding Jonathan that you are a people leader, you should know your people better, and therefore go ahead, give comfort to Chade and write her a recommendation. I think taking responsibility of your people in such a way, which is not really written as a part of our job as leaders, managers, as a job description, it is not there. I think This is one of the leadership qualities that truly separates the great ones from the good ones or the average ones. So in today's times, while I am enjoying the view of Ganga, I thought it's important to also talk about these two incidents, responsibility towards the people that you lead. Thank you.